All right, welcome back. So we are working our way through the project planner, and in the last video we did a concept sketch, which looked like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and in the project planner, the next stage for drawings is called the working drawing. These are all the requirements here, so make sure you're checking those. But you'll see them as I do the drawing here. You will understand. Okay, so that's from the project planner, and we are working on designing or drawing, a tray that will hold whatever. So we're done the concept sketch. Okay, you're going to make yours as neat as possible, but you don't have to use a ruler. You don't have to measure it on the page. And from this stage, we can now talk about your project. So let's get rid of the concept sketch, and we are going to move on to this, which is called a working drawing. And you're going to notice a few different things. First of all, this is a lot neater. It's done with a ruler. There's a lot more dimensions on here, but most important is that it is scaled, which means that I shrunk it down to fit on this page, but I scaled it. In this case, it's called half scale, which means that the drawing is half the size of the real project. Okay, so first of all, let me set this aside for a sec, and let's get you set up. So you can pause me after this, and you can go get the tools that you need. So you should have a set square. You should have a tape measure. A ruler might be handy. Obviously, a nice pencil, and something you may not realize, but a little piece of sandpaper. Now, why do I have a piece of sandpaper? It's to use it as a pencil sharpener. This is a better pencil sharpener than what we have at the front of the room, because you can get a very, very sharp tip on here. Okay, so that's going to help you with the neatness of your drawing. So sandpaper, pencil, ruler, set square, tape measure, and some masking tape in order to tape the drawing down, which I'll do in a minute here. Okay. So to get set up, once you have your tools set, we have to talk about how to scale a drawing and how to position it on the page. If you notice with this drawing, it's nicely positioned on the page. These drawings are not shoved off to the left side, they're not shoved up to the top, and they also fit neatly on the page. So let's talk about how to do that. First of all, I'll take the project. Here's the full size of the project. It's too big for the paper, so we have to shrink it down, and we're going to shrink it by half. So this is what you have to decide when you're doing your own projects. Sometimes you'll have a project that's much larger than this, and so instead of shrinking it by half to fit on the page, you might have to shrink it by 3 times or 4 times to fit. But let's keep it simple. Let's just shrink this by half and put it on the page. Therefore, if the project is 12 inches long, then obviously on the page, we're going to go half. It's only going to be 6 inches long. And if it's 6 inches in this direction, on the page it will just be 3. Okay, nice and simple. If you have a project where you have to divide by 4, or you have to divide by 3 or 6, then what we can do is we can actually, together, you can either use little tape measures that I've made, or you can make your own. So look at this page, for example. On this page, these are scaled tape measures. So it says 1 to 4, it says 1 to 4 here, and what this means is each one of these inches here is 1 inch divided by 4, okay? And so you can actually use this as your own little tape measure. And there's a couple of other scales here. So there's 1 to 4, 1 to 6, and 1 to 8. That's what I have in the room. If you have to do something outside of this, then we'll make your own. But basically, to measure on the page, you can take this. If you're doing a 1 to 4 scale, you can take this and you can actually fold it along that tape measure line like this. You see that? And you can kind of use that to measure on the page. Okay? But you know what? For this drawing, this is pretty simple. It's 12 inches long, so I'm going to draw it 6 on the page. So let's get going here. What I'm going to do is, the first thing is to tape it down. So you're going to take some masking tape. I swear there's an end on this masking tape. There it is. And you're going to take 4 pieces of tape, and we're going to tape it down on this page, and I'm going to show it. It's a special way I do it that keeps it nice and tight on the page. So watch how I do this. First of all, make sure there's nothing under the page. Take a single sheet, and you're going to take the tape, and you're going to tape one corner like this, okay? So put some masking tape down like that. Do the opposite corner, put some tape on it, stretch it out. You see what I'm doing? I'm stretching along here and taping it down, and then do the same thing in the other two directions, in the other two corners, I should say. So you kind of pull that, get it nice and tight on the page, and do this. Keep things nice and neat on these drawings, and the final product will be nice and clear. So here's my pencil, set square, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of position things on the page. I know that the project needs to be 6 inches long on the page because it's 12 inches long in reality. So 6 inches long is going to be somewhere up here. Let's take 6 inches there. You don't want to be off in the corner here, and you don't want to be way over here. So here's 6 inches, and I'm just going to say it's going to be 6 inches that way, and it's going to be 3 inches down this way. So that looks like a good starting point. So I'm going to make a dot where the upper left corner is. All right, so that dot is where the upper left corner of the drawing is, which is right here. Okay, so I just made a dot where that upper left corner is, and now I can start to draw. So you're going to see me draw pretty quickly here, and what you're going to notice is all the horizontal lines I have to keep parallel with the page this way. All the vertical lines I have to keep parallel with the edge. So for example, see that dot I just made? What I'm going to do is I'm going to, where's my ruler here? I'm going to measure and make sure. So that is 1 inch and 13/16 down. So I'm going to make it the same over here, and I'm going to draw a very light line between those 2 points like this. So you see this? Very light line like that. Okay? And then similarly, I'm going to measure this distance here like that and transfer it down here and draw a nice light line. Now, if you don't feel like measuring, then just take a stick of wood or another piece of paper. Watch what I do here. I'm going to make a little mark here where that dot is, and I'm going to take that down here and transfer the mark here, and then take this, set square, and draw a light line, just like that. So that's a nice starting point. There's the upper left, and I've got lines going in either direction. So now you're going to watch me as I draw the top view, front view, and side view.